Money, they say, is the root of all evil, but no doubt we value them, so that we forget they're produced by people. So how are they made? Are they plucked from trees? Basically because they can make as much of it as they want to, so the saying money grows on trees is true of the government. Anyway, here's a detailed account of how money's made. Watch and learn, and with that, let's do this. Designing and engraving. Indeed, even money needs to be designed first before it's created. This is the first step in printing money notes, and it's done by specialized designers who incorporate artistic and security features such as watermarks, serial numbers, and holograms to prevent counterfeiting. But cryptography solves this and makes it all obsolete. But that's a story for another video. Anyway, designing money refers to the process of creating the visual appearance of the banknotes or currency. It's typically done by specialized graphic designers who work closely with central banks or monetary authorities responsible for issuing the currency. The design process takes into account various factors, such as the cultural significance of the currency, the security features needed to prevent counterfeiting, and the ease of use by the public. The design team creates a blueprint of the currency, including the placement of security features, color schemes, and typography. One of the main objectives of designing money notes is to prevent counterfeiting, which is the production of fake or fraudulent notes. To achieve this, designers incorporate various security features into the banknotes. These features can include watermarks, which are images or patterns that are visible when held up to the light, serial numbers, which are unique identifiers that are printed on banknotes, and holograms, which are three-dimensional images that are difficult to replicate. In addition to preventing counterfeiting, the design of the currency can also reflect a country's cultural heritage or historical significance. For example, some countries may include images of famous landmarks, historical figures, or national symbols on their banknotes. Once the design is finalized, the image is engraved onto metal plates. Each plate contains a single color of the note and is precision engraved to ensure that the details are crisp and clear. After the design of the money is done alongside the plate making, the next stage comes into motion. A shiny note. Once the designing and engraving are done, it's time to print. At this point, the metal plates are loaded onto printing presses, where the notes will be printed one color at a time. As each color is printed, the notes are dried and checked for quality. But before this, how are the banknotes' papers gotten in the first place? The banknotes are printed on special paper that's made from a blend of cotton and linen fibers, which gives the paper a distinctive texture and feel. It also makes the notes more durable and resistant to wear and tear. The paper is typically produced in large rolls. The paper used for printing is known as security or banknote paper and is designed to have unique features that make it difficult to counterfeit. But how exactly are the papers made? The first step is to select high-quality cotton and linen fibers, which are then mixed with water to form a pulp. This pulp is carefully processed to remove any impurities or debris. The pulp is then spread out evenly onto a wire mesh screen, which is called a Fourdrinier machine. This machine drains the water from the pulp, leaving behind a mat of fibers that are then passed through a series of rollers to remove excess water or compress the fibers. The sheet of paper is then dried using a combination of heat and pressure. Once the paper is dry, it's cut into large rolls. After the paper is cut into rolls, it's time for security features such as watermarks, security threads, and holograms to be added to the paper. These features help to prevent counterfeiting and make the banknote paper more secure. Now, the production of banknote papers is a highly specialized process that requires strict quality control and attention to detail. The unique blend of cotton and linen fibers and the addition of security features make it one of the most durable and secure types of paper in the world. The design of the banknote is first created on a computer and then engraved onto a printing plate using a laser. This process creates a raised image on the printing plate, which will eventually transfer the ink onto the paper. There are two main printing techniques used in the banknote production. They include offset printing and intaglio printing. Offset printing involves transferring the ink from the printing plate onto a rubber, which is then transferred onto the paper. The process is called offset because the ink isn't transferred directly from the plate to the paper, but rather is offset onto an immediate surface first. The printing plate is typically made of metal, and the areas that are not meant to receive ink are treated with a water-repellent substance, while the ink-receptive areas are left exposed. The rubber blanket is then pressed against the plate, and the ink is transferred onto the blanket. The paper is then pressed against the blanket, and the ink is transferred onto the paper. This process is repeated for each color of ink used in the design. On the other hand, intaglio printing involves pressing the inked printing plate directly onto the paper, which creates a raised image. The printing plate used in intaglio printing is typically made of metal and is engraved with the design to be printed. The areas that are meant to receive ink are cut into the plate, which creates the raised image that makes up the design of the money. The plate is then inked. The excess ink is wiped away from the surface, leaving ink only in the engraved areas. The paper is then pressed against the plate with a great deal of pressure, forcing the paper into the engraved areas and transferring the ink onto the paper. This process can create a very detailed and high-quality image on paper, but it can also be more time-consuming and expensive than offset printing. Both offset printing and intaglio printing have their advantages and disadvantages, and the choice of which technique to use depends on several factors, including the desired image quality, the complexity of the design, and the cost of production. Then again, while some notes make use of one printing method, there are other notes that undergo both processes. The printing getting to this point is not an indication of the end, as there's still processes ahead. So, what's next? Inspection and packaging. After all the security features are incorporated in the banknotes, they're then thoroughly inspected to ensure that they meet the quality and security standards set by the issuing authority. It's usually a sad story for any note that doesn't meet the standard, because any note that doesn't meet these standards are typically destroyed. Before you start screaming, "My money!" note that printing banknotes are highly specialized and intricate processes that require immense precision to differentiate it from being fake. So after inspection, the banknotes are then packaged into secure containers, where they're first sealed before they get transported to banks and other financial institutions for distribution to the public. It's quite amazing to watch the whole process come to completion. But imagine that you run the printing process. If you could print as much money as you wanted, like they can, how long do you think it would take for you to own everything? Good question, right? Anyways, whether you run the printing process or not, it should be okay to know the printing of our money is in quite capable hands and is a safe and secure process. Throughout all mentioned printing processes, strict security measures are in place to prevent counterfeiting. For example, the printing facility is heavily guarded, and employees undergo extensive background checks and are monitored closely. In addition, the printing process is monitored by sophisticated cameras and sensors to detect any abnormalities or unauthorized access. Overall, the printing of money notes is a highly specialized and secure process to ensure that the notes are of the highest quality and authenticity. Remember this, the governments around the world can print as much money as they want to, out of thin air, and this is money that we slave and fight over for the rest of our lives. What a scam. Until next time, adios. Before we move on, I've got a little challenge for you that'll take 5 seconds to complete. So, here's the deal. You just leave a like on this video, smash that subscribe button, and tick the notification bell. And you'll get 25 years of amazing luck. Try it, it really works.